Hello friends, good morning. Welcome to Astra, the daily current affairs from the Hindu. This is 17th of March 2023. I am discussing about the current affairs that we have in the Hindu from today. So this is v.dhanunjayareddy giving you the current affairs that you have to read. Let's quickly go to the front page. In the front page, Parliament law exam continues. So the budget session, second half of the budget session has started recently. However, neither the opposition nor the ruling party are withdrawing to conduct a smooth run of parliament, and there is some log jam which is continuing. This is the wall that was created by the opposition parties demanding that the joint probe has to be done on Hindenburg report. This clearly shows that the Parliament of India, rather than having deliberations, discussions and debates, it is going to be somewhat like disruptions. So disruptions in Parliament are happening. This is one of the biggest challenge that Indian Parliament is facing these days. So major fire at Swapna Lok complex, 6th day of suffocation. Some bad news again coming from Hyderabad. So recently we have seen 3 fire accidents in Hyderabad. We have seen the death of a small child because of the stray dog attack, and now again there is one more fire attack that has happened near Secunderabad in Hyderabad. 13 opposition parties urge election commission to conduct elections in the Jammu and Kashmir region. Now, after the disintegration of Jammu Kashmir and downgrading the statehood into union territories, we all know that Jammu and Kashmir has been relegated to an union territory with a state within legislature. Now the 13 opposition parties are demanding to conduct elections. We have to wait and watch what Election Commission of India is going to tell. So there was some demands from GHMC garbage workers. They demand that they should be provided with insurance, and they have also brought to the officers notice that these workers, particularly the women sections who are working in this GHMC, are not getting proper respect from their elite sections or from their bosses. So they are asking that there is some sexual harassment which is happening inside the system, and there is some other forms of harassment. Hence, we have to be given care along with the insurance. That is the demand that these people are asking. That should be considered by the ministry, by the Telangana state government. Now, toxic crashes over the towers of Hyderabad. So this can be an introduction point. The tallest mountain in Hyderabad is no longer Golconda or the KBR Park Bridge. The garbage dump at Jawahar Nagar over them is the one which is over them many meters. So thanks to the efforts of the citizens of Hyderabad and Greater Hyderabad Municipal Corporation. So it was on a sarcastic note. It is telling that there has been the dump yard at Jawahar Nagar in Hyderabad. GHMC has been increasing its size, and it has overcome the height of the Golconda Fort and the height of the ridge that is present in Kasu Brahmanandam National Park, which is situated inside the city. Now, in this context, we have to understand every day GHMC people, the people who are present here are releasing around 7,000 metric tons of solid waste. Now, treating this solid waste is very difficult thing. In the year 2020, the National Green Tribunal has ordered that whatever the trash that is present here, it has to be bioremediated. That was the thing. No, bioremediation should be taken place here. In 2020, the National Green Tribunal asked for biomining and bioremediation of the landfill in order to discard the waste as early as possible. And this is the Ramco power plant, which is present near the Jawahar landfilling site, dumps. So this is the dump yard for the Greater Hyderabad Municipal Corporation who are staying in Hyderabad. If you are not knowing where our waste is going, it is going to this industrial park or to this dump yard, which is present in Jawahar Nagar. So this is the hill that they have allotted for that. And now what they do is they are converting this. This is Ramki power plant. They are converting this waste into energy. However, the waste that they are processing is only 1200 tons. Every day we are generating 7,000 tons of waste. So as a result, heaps is increasing. Now it has crossed the size. Why this was in news recently? In Kochi, a similar dump yard known as Brahmapuram dump yard has caught fire. And we have seen 2 articles. One is by Pulpure Balakrishnan and another article on text and context based saying that how we have to control solid waste management in the cities. So solid waste management is very, very vital. Otherwise, this is going to be a big problem and mountains are going to be created out of the waste that we are generating. So this is an indication for the public as well as officers. So commission takes up case of 300 tribals cheated in Tamil Nadu state, Telangana state. Recently in Telangana, the Koya tribe community, who are scheduled tribes here, they were cheated by an outsider, promising that they will get lands registered, and they have taken some money. So National Commission for Scheduled Tribes has taken an action based on the report filed by Telangana police on this, and they are looking into this. We all know that the National Commission of STs is a 5-member body in which there will be chairman, vice chairperson, and 3 members, and they are going to decide, or they are going to look into the safety of these tribals. Testing times, this is about foreign trade that we have seen. Yesterday there was sharp decline in the foreign trade of the government of India. So what they are telling is policymakers should pay a very nuanced attention. What is nuanced? The meaning of nuanced is a distinct or fine and distinct. An invaluable policy attention has to be made. So that was it was written. Now in this article they have said what are the reasons for our exports decreasing. The major reason is faltering global demand, and in the large part of the world is slipping into recession. So be careful, guys. 2023 may be a recession, though there was some indicators that it is pulling out of recession, but still our exports are not reaching to the global market because there is the global demand has been resided. Along with this, India is the largest exporter. India's largest exporter is to the US. So US economy is also in doldrums because of high inflation, because of the high monetary policy that the Federal Bank that of USA is taking, and because of this, the recession risks has resurfaced, and India couldn't capture its market in the US. This is the reason why our exports have tumbled down. The third reason why the global demand of goods is not present is because of the Russia-Ukraine war. Because of this war, high prices of commodities is taking place. As a result, we couldn't capture the market. So these are the things. Hence, policy making should be somewhat very careful in these testing times. Dangerous moves. This is about bringing down the drone of USA into the waters of the Black Sea. So for prelims, you have to look at Black Sea. Black Sea is an important question this year. They might ask what is the surrounding areas of the Black Sea, because UPSC has the tendency of asking these questions, right? So in this context, they are telling that Ukraine and because of this Ukraine war, the tensions between USA and Russia has been going beyond, and this might be a flash which might lead to the global war again. So in this arena, they have said that dangerous moves are being calculated by these two persons, and it has to be overcome. Again, this is an article that we have read already. A very good article is coming from Shashi Tharoor, the MP from Thiruvananthapuram. The colonial past is still relevant. This is the thing that he is telling. So in many parts of global south, particularly South Asia, South Africa, Latin American countries, how colonial past is still relevant after almost 70 years of colonial rule end. Now he is telling that colonial past is relevant in many areas in these countries, particularly because of the artificial demarcation of the borders between the colonial states by the colonial masters. What it has led is there is no closure for the wars. Particularly, the best example is the war of Pakistan and India and Jammu and Kashmir. This is because of artificial demarcation by the Radcliffe line or the Radcliffe. So the same thing was visible in Western Sahara districts. The same thing was visible in Horn of Africa between Ethiopia and Eritrea. And the same thing was between Ethiopia and Tigranian minorities. So all this are because of the artificial demarcation. All these are in news because these states are always conflicting with each other or always fighting with each other. So what they say is the colonial roots are the reasons for this. So this is the first thing that you have to remember. The second thing is the colonials also has demarcated a particular group of community with its careless anthropology. So they have branded a set of people with a different label and another set of people with a different label. Best example is the Belgians classification of Hutus and Tutsis in Rwanda and Burundi. So Hutus and Tutsis in Rwanda or Burundi, they made them as different distinctions, though they are present traditionally with the same set of ideology, they have divided them. As a result, they said there was some conflict between Houthis and Tutsis, which was present here. The next one is particularly, it is also visible in the armed forces, saying that in India, particularly, you find some community people more represented in the army. Some people are present in less community, or less communities are present in army. This is again because of the distinction that they have created. The next one is the divide and rule policy is still continuing even after the so-called Hindu Muslim, even after 70 years of colonial rule. That is particularly because this divide and rule is present not only between the communities, between the regional differences that we are seeing, and differences between the so-called majorities and minorities, but particularly Tutsis leading to Hutu rejection. Right, Belgian colonies favored one community over the other. Because of this, you are seeing these problems. So this is what being said again. So divide and rule policy in the form of economic resources, in the form of political arena, in the form of majority versus minority, in the form of political angles, everything. This is the colonial mindset which has created the problems in the colonial rule even today. Particularly the Tutsis versus Hutus is one example. The second best example is the civil war which has happened in Sri Lanka. In Sri Lanka, Tamilians enjoyed privileges during the times of Britishers. This was not liked by Sinhali majority in Sri Lanka. As a result, today Sinhalis were quite antagonistic towards the Tamilians who are present in Sri Lanka. So this is another best example that colonial rule is the basic reason for the problems of the global south, particularly those countries which are under the colonial rule. Dangers from mixed colonial history. The next problem is within a country, if there are more, if you had a colonial legacy where more than two colonies has captured the land, then obviously this is going to be quite a bigger problem, because two people living or two states ruling these areas makes ethnic diversity. They are going to artificially divide you again based on the nationality, and then as a result secessions will be the biggest problem. The secessions that we are going to see is one of the biggest problem. Particularly this was seen in Yugoslavia, which was under Austro-Hungarian rule for almost 800 years. But after the so-called First World War, where this was done, Yugoslavia was divided and it was given to some other parts of the world which do not have ethnic roots. Because of this, the national integration has not been possible, and again this is because of the colonial rule. The next one is, already we have seen the demarcation of borders was not very good. As a result, this is the thing. Another failure of colonialism is state failure. So colonialism can be seen as the failure of the state, because after all these countries have bought victory over the colonial masters, they see that the state is not an institution which respects the ambitions of the people. Hence, they have defeated the colonial masters, and that mindset is still relevant or prevailing in the minds of the people. Hence, they see state failures is because of the colonial failures and crisis of government in many of the African countries, that may be in the Sierra Leone or South Sudan or Somalia. All these are because of the poor colonial legacy. Underdevelopment and post-colonial societies is again one of the biggest problems that we are seeing this. So what it is telling is, overall, the colonial past is still relevant in terms of its artificial demarcation, in terms of its divide and rule policies, in terms of its ethnic divide, in terms of its the so-called state failure, in terms of its lack of good governance, in terms of its underdevelopment, and then colonial legacies being reflected in majority of these states because of these things. Hence, the major problems of the world, particularly the global south is seeing today, are still having the backbone or the roots is in the colonial rule, which is an evil-minded rule as per Shashi Tharoor. Hence, a very good article was this. Tested but tired, this force could be in distress. This is about CRPF forces. The paramilitary forces were recently given a major role in order to control extremism that is happening inside the country. Particularly, that may be the Naxalism, or that may be the insurgent operations in the northeastern parts of the country, or in residing the terrorist activities which are happening in Jammu and Kashmir. So these forces, they are telling that these forces were given not a good training, or not they are not equipped to the levels that the armed forces, particularly the Navy, Air Force, and the Army was having. As a result, there is huge burden on these officers, and this was written by an CRPF officer. There was huge problems in this office. Hence, their tactical skills has to be honed, and their stretching, their overstretching has to be given relaxation. Otherwise, it is going to be a great discrimination among them. But along with this, there is to be need for parity on the payment, particularly after the Pulwama terror attack, which has happened in 2019. So these people, the 40 personnel who has passed away, their families have met on February 14th, and they demanded that we should get the so-called old pension scheme, which armed forces are getting. So again, they are asking that because of low money, or because of the huge pressure, because of the lack of technical training, they are going to have unsurmountable pressure on their heads. So they are asking that it has to be changed. Next, are educated women likely to marry earlier? Now, whether education is related to marriage or not, yes, what the authors are telling is, they are telling a beautiful, this is a very beautiful article on again women and marriage issues. Now they say that yes, some to some extent education is one of the reasons for late marriage, but education is not the reason for early marriage. One thing is poverty. Poverty is the main cause for early marriage. Why? Poor people think that when a girl is getting higher age, the girl's age is increasing, they have to pay more dowry. As a result, they will marry her earlier. Even the educated girl child also is going to get married not beyond a particular point. The reason is again the complications of dowry, again the complications of societal pressure that they are seeing along with the education. The third one is particularly the role that educated girl child should have. There is a tendency in the people's mind that particularly the parents think that their duty of daughters, so their responsibility of the daughters end when they marry her, and the responsibility on the son ends when the son is going to get a job. So this is the reflection that Indian societies have on the daughter as well as on the son. Hence, daughters get married, and then there was increased pressure on the higher caste also, saying that higher caste people tend to protect their the so-called societal respect by not going for exogamous marriages. As a result, they try to go for maintaining their dominance on the marriage of the girl child. Because after the girls get age, after they start thinking, if they go outside the marriage, outside the family and marry someone, they think that this is going to be a bit shame for their families, and they are going to get social boycott. Because of all these things, education is not only the factor which is leading to early marriage, but there are some things uh, which play beyond education, which are contributing to early marriages or of the girl child. And these are the things. So very good article. If you are interested, you can download it and you can go through it. So this is the one that I am saying. This is Russian Sukhoi missile. It has targeted on the so-called, this is the fuel that it has released on the drone known as on the drone. This is the Black Sea. The drone is belonging to US Air Force, right? So Sukhoi, this is Sukhoi 27. Approached drone is MQ-9 drone and released the fuel on this. Now this is the conflict, and the editorial that was given is based on this. So this is the Black Sea. Now in the Black Sea, there is no US naval forces present. Now this might be a new conflict of zone, because Crimea is present here. Please look at the borders of Crimea. That might be your potential question. India reports over 700 COVID cases in one day. So please be alert and maintain the social distance, as well as maintain the sanitation facilities along with the masks whenever you are going out. National Institute of Ocean Technology is to set up green self-powered desalination plants in Lakshadweep to desalinate or to remove the salt contamination and provide drinking water to the people there. So this is something which is relevant. Credit Suisse has come in relief to the so-called Silicon Valley Bank. This is another thing that we have seen in the today's news. Only these things are present today, so none of the things are important. Thanks for joining. Have a great day, guys.